Oh my gosh, I'm cracking up. Do you, like, if you own dogs, probably kids, I don't know. But I'm sure there's like a word or a saying or something that like sparks like a light bulb in your animal to make them think that they're like involved, right? And mine is for sure okay. Like Fielder has taught me that I say okay way too much, and usually it's insinuating that okay, like we're getting ready to leave, or okay, it's time to go do something. So he gets all hyped up, and I think as I was like setting up for the tutorial that we're gonna do today, I kept saying okay, okay, and he's like, what are we doing? Where are we going? And now he's just looking at me from his bed like, what a tease. Anywho, what's up? My name's April. Thanks for coming to hang out with me on my channel. If you're new, welcome. Come take a look, see what's going on. If you have been hanging out, good to see you again. Good to flow with you again. And today's gonna be a little different. So instead of a yoga class, what we're gonna do, we're gonna break down the warrior poses. So think warrior 1, warrior 2, warrior 3. And I think that's kind of a vibe I want to go with. So oftentimes in person, and sometimes like people will shoot me a DM every now and then, but a lot of times in my in-person classes, people have more specific questions that are hard to answer when it's such a flow-based class. So either I stick around after we talk before, you know, we end up talking, but the moral of this story here, I thought it'd be really cool to take some weeks, as an opportunity to break down really common poses that you see in yoga classes that you might not really know if you're freaking doing it right or what's going on, because again, the flow-based vinyasa classes, more or less, they don't give you a lot of time to really make the pose like your home base in your own practice. Next week, I will use the warriors in our class, so you'll have like an idea of like, oh, this is where that heel should be, this is how this hip should feel, oh, this is like where my back should kind of land, etc., etc. So what we'll do, sorry, I'm also debating. I guess we're gonna do right and left side because I don't wanna leave anyone uneven. But it's not really a flow class, but I want you to stand up and do the pose with me. Place your hands how I'm placing them. Check out what I'm speaking to so you do get some benefit from the poses that we're gonna go over. And yeah, we'll at least hold the other side so we have that symmetry and you're not like leaving all like wobbly and stuff. And I think that's it. I think we can get this started now. So we're gonna start in warrior 1 with our right foot forward. Okay, so warrior 1 with your right foot forward. The most common issue I see in any of these warrior stances, I have a hard time with my W's sometimes. The most common thing I see with your warrior stances is the stance. I've been like saying a lot in class too. It's just something that's been getting to me. You have the whole length of your mat to use, and I guarantee I see people struggling so much, like using only half. This is a warrior 2 stance, by the way. But I see people struggling so much in their warriors or in the transitions that come with them because you're not using your whole mat. So I'm always coming up to people and either asking them to push their back foot further back or bend into their front knee a little bit more to use that stance. Like, do you see how much that just changed my warrior 2? This is my warrior 2, and I'm not even like utilizing the space I've been given to adequately set myself in this pose. Look what happens when I start to heel toe my back foot back. It's kind of crazy how much it changes, which is why I like laugh a little bit, because it really makes a huge difference by simply just allowing yourself some more space. That's the first thing I'm gonna go over in this warrior 1 stance. Widen it, lengthen it out, use your mat space. And we'll start with the back foot. With warrior 2, your back foot is more parallel to the back of your mat. So I guess I'm gonna kind of speak to both of them as I get you in the first one. Your back heel, or your back foot rather, is parallel to the back of your mat, meaning it's kind of just that even line with it. The huge difference between warrior 2 and warrior 1 is that back foot. So you want to think toes in, heel out. I say the angle for your heel could be anywhere between like 45 degrees, 60 degrees, but there is an angle to your back heel. And I emphasize the angle in the back heel because that's going to help the rotation of your hips. So when you angle your heel back and your toes forward, you're bringing that left hip back while you are simultaneously pulling your right hip, or I'm sorry, you're bringing your left hip forward as you pull your right hip back. That makes a huge difference, and I say this in person, I'll say it online. I will never tell you to square your hips in Warrior One because my hips don't even square in Warrior One. Our anatomy is just not built for that. It's a traditional cue that I think a lot of us still lean on, but it's just not reality, right? But when you bring an angle to your back left foot, for instance, with this pose that we're currently in, it's going to draw your left hip forward. It's going to help you pull your right hip back, but now I need to recommit to bending into my right knee. So you want to bend back into that right knee. Again, you have that wide stance kind of helping you. And then you want to activate your front right leg as well. So when you activate that leg, you're driving that heel back towards the left arch of your foot, and you're also committing to grounding down that left heel. If you can't ground down your back heel, shorten your stance a little bit, but only a little bit. So bring your hands on your hips here as well. I like to bring my hands on my hips, roll my shoulders away from my ears, so you're sitting up nice and tall. You want to avoid like your back overarching by bringing your core into the equation, right? So your core is nice and strong. It's helping you find that lift through your chest. Now with your hands on your hips, quite literally feel your left hand come forward as you pull your right hip back, pull your right hand back, and then we keep bending into that right knee. We got some nice strong Warrior One legs now. So starting with the torso, you're gonna inhale those arms up. That's typically when we see the back overarching. That's when you bring it back towards center, tuck your chin towards your chest. I like to think of like a stacking sensation. So crown of the head, shoulders, shoulders, hips. Right? So everything's stacking here. Your pinkies, they turn slightly in. So when you notice your pinkies turning in a little bit, it's helping you create some space for your shoulders here as well. Now, when you find the lift through the torso, when you gently spiral those pinkies inward, notice the space your shoulders can create, then I want you to elongate the back of your neck. Reach through the crown of your head. And of course, the gaze, it always goes forward. So you want to bring your gaze forward a little bit. Chin is parallel to the bottom of your space, bottom of your mat. So you have that nice, strong, steady gaze. Lastly, of course, you want to think of tucking that tailbone up and under so that the cue that you might hear often in class, the navel towards the spine, you're just tucking your tailbone up and under. So tuck the tailbone up and under, feel your sacrum elongate here a little bit, and then inhale those arms right back up, roll the shoulders away, find your breath. And this, my friend, is your Warrior One. Like I said, we got to even out those spaces because sitting in one side and not holding the other side is not too fun. So just come to the back of your mat. And use this side as a test of kind of what you just learned from the cues I gave you, right? So start with that back foot. That is your anchor, really grounding down that back right heel. Foot is on that 45 to 60 degree angle, and you recommit to bending into your left knee now. Hands can come on the hips. I like to start there because then I remind myself to roll my shoulders away. Gently tug on that left hip, pull it back, let your right hip bone drop towards the top of your space. And we bring those arms up. Now try to grip the mat with your toes here, right? So everything's active, sealing the outer edge blade of your back right foot. And we're just here for a steady 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Warrior One's done. You know what? Let's all just find a little Malasana pose before we find that Warrior Two. Bring yourself in a nice little squat here. Drop it. Oof. If you fall back, just catch yourself like nothing happened. And then bring it on back. Just hang out for a breath or two. I am just trying to waste time so my legs can come back to some normalcy before I bring them back into Warrior Two stance. Okay, let's get to our Warrior Two. I love Warrior Two. If you, probably online, but definitely in person, if you take my class, I do a lot of Warrior Twos. I really like them. And I don't do a lot of Warrior Ones because I don't like them, but that's my own issue. It's still a great pose and there's a lot of fun transitions you can do from it. But it's a beast. I actually had a student ask me a couple weeks ago, they're like, why do you hate Warrior One? And like I didn't say that to them and I'm like, damn, I guess it is what it is. Yeah, Warrior Two. Just giving you guys my internal thoughts here. But again, Warrior Two. First thing I'm always gonna say, check your stance. Can you lengthen it out a little bit? Use your mat space. Now, when you find your Warrior Two, Always start with any pose really, we work from the ground up. So you always want to build your foundation from the ground up. And your legs are some of the strongest pieces on you. So use these bad boys, right? When you find that warrior two, they're gonna say right heel to left arch alignment, which is great, it can work. But if that doesn't feel good and it's not allowing the hips to open up to what would be the left corner of your space here, heel toe, your right foot closer towards the right edge of your mat, you are quite literally just giving yourself some more space. So don't kill yourself if you don't have the traditional heel to arch alignment. Now once you find placement with the feet, back foot's parallel, bend into your right knee potentially has the capability to stack on top of your left ankle. If you're not there, you're not there. Can it be a goal that you lengthen out enough to let your right thigh get parallel to the bottom of your mat so your knee can bend a little bit deeper? Yes. If you're not there, it's not the end of the world. Okay. So once you have that foundation, I want you to play just lifting up your right toes. Gently place them back down, lift them back up, place them back down. Lift up your left toes if you can, place them back down, lift up, place down. That's gonna help you reactivate your legs, and it's gonna help your feet get involved in the equation here a little bit too. So active legs, feel the sensation of drawing your kneecaps up. So you're drawing that left kneecap up, very active thighs, drawing your right kneecap up, very active right thigh. Again, something that is common in all of these poses, active core. So you have to engage your core. When you engage the core, you're providing stability for the pelvis, right? So you're providing that stability nice and strong through that stature. And then that allows you to lengthen out the arms as you reach towards the back of your space and towards the front of your space. When you find the reach of both of your arms, they're about shoulder height apart, right? So they're not higher than your shoulders, they're not lower than your shoulders. They're right at that shoulder height. Left fingers are chasing the back of your space, right fingers are chasing the front of your space. And give yourself a moment to draw your shoulder blades down. So the sensation of rolling your shoulders away from your ears. And a little tip I love to do in my classes, so keeping the stance that you're in, flip your palms up. You'll notice when your palms are up, it's giving your shoulders some space to lock back down. So palms up, shoulders down, glue the shoulder blades together just slightly, keep that activation through the back, and then flip your palms back to the ground. Finding that stance here, you have that gentle gaze over that right middle finger or just over towards the right hand in general. And you always want to bring the space, or the sensation rather, of tucking your chin back towards your chest. Now, through all of this, you still want to make sure you have active legs. So that back left heel is your anchor point. Work on grounding that down as you bring that right thigh parallel to your mat. I like to think of the external rotation you're finding here too. So you're quite literally opening up that right thigh, encouraging it towards the right edge of your space. And you're coming back to that breath. Let that breath in lift you up. Let that exhale sink you in. Sacrum releases down. Abs draw in, nice and steady, nice long line. And this is your warrior two. Now come on out for a minute, little forward fold, heel toe the feet back in. That doesn't work for my left foot by anchoring it down that much, so maybe roll out that left ankle for a minute. Just gonna switch our sides to start over, and again, just to even out our space. Nice wide stance. Commit to bending into your left knee. Let it chase the back of your mat. Seal the outer edge blade of your right foot. It's nice and parallel here. Right hip, or I'm sorry, whoa, I'm putting you in a warrior two or a warrior one. Hips do not go towards the back of your mat. Hip still stays square. Notice when you square your hips, your left knee might come in a little bit. It happens to me still all the time. I just gotta remind myself, left knee goes towards the left edge, hip stays squared. That's why I kind of laugh, and we'll hold this pose for just a couple seconds. That's why I kind of laugh when people are like, yoga is easy, yoga is whatever they want to say. I'm like, what yoga are you doing? Because these poses are super active. My legs are on fire right now, and you're naturally just like working your core to help you stay upright. So as long as you have intention with these poses, if you even bring slight activation to these poses, you're getting a workout. But let's settle here in our warrior two for 3, for 2, and 1. We got it. Okay. I really hope you heard that. All my knuckles crack. It's like a little party trick that majority of people can do. Last Our last one, Warrior 3. It's definitely a fave of mine. I use it a lot in just my own personal practice, and I teach it a lot as well. And I could not adequately describe Warrior 3 without giving like Commune Yoga, Awakening Yoga a shout out, because they definitely helped me develop my love for this balance pose and just my love for the awareness you need to balance on one leg. So, Warrior 2 won't take as long, but there's still a lot going on. We're gonna start, and you can watch me, of course, if you want to, because it would probably be hard to watch and balance and listen and look and all the things. But I'll show you up here. We'll get into it just from a stance, so just from Tadasana. You'll bring your left knee inside your chest. When you lift up that left knee, that's your inhale. Inhale, lift up your left knee. Exhale, drive your left heel back, square the hips towards the mat, enter a Warrior 3. I know these are not Warrior 3 arms. We will get to the Warrior 3 arms, but a lot of the attention needs to happen with the leg here first. Do you notice I have a bend in my standing leg? When you find a bend, as I almost fall, when you find a bend, you are giving yourself stability. So when you straighten that leg right away, you're locking out your joints, you're kind of all wobbly, you can't really do much. So feel free to give yourself a bend in your standing leg. And I actually want to make sure you can see my left foot. I'm sure you can. So when you have the bend in your standing leg, you're gripping the mat with your right toes. I can't express that, or I can't emphasize that enough. Gripping the mat with your right toes will help you with stability. That's the biggest issue, one of the biggest issues of Warrior 3. Next, I want you to take a look at my left foot. This is what I see a lot. It's just kind of hanging out. It doesn't really have a purpose, doesn't really know what's going on. It's just like fighting to stay up. Now look at my foot. Nice and active. I'm stomping the back of my space. So this is like, I'm not doing much. This is when I come and like tickle people's feet when they're up in these poses. And then they come up, they flex their toes down towards the mat. Their hips are nice and squared. Now bring your hands, bring your hands heart center. Drive and reach through your collarbone. So you're gazing forward a little bit here so you can elongate your back. You want to try to remove that arch here again. Now, if you're trying to just get used to a Warrior 3, I always suggest just keeping your hands heart center, and they can stay there for as long as you need to, or you need them to rather. If you want to go to that traditional Warrior 3, that's when the arms come up towards the top of your space, biceps frame your ears, and palms face one another. That's going to be like the most intense pose because you're using a lot of push and pull and lean and balance and all the things. So that's your Warrior 3. We'll switch our sides too to do that left side as well. So again, starting that one-legged Tadasana. Inhale, right knee inside the chest. I like to exhale, I lean it forward, I kick that right foot back, kick that right foot back. Nice bend in that left knee, very strong here with that space. Hands are heart center. Flexing my back right toes towards my mat so my hips stay square. That helps my right leg stay active too. When you find that activation, you find that lightness here. Core is working, steady breath, steady mind. Hands heart center, lead with the collarbones, lengthen out your spine, lengthen out the sides. You either stay here, focus on your drishti, focus on your breath, or maybe the arms crawl forward. Reach through those fingertips, let yourself find a breath in, and exhale, we stand. Woo! When I have these ideas of showing you or breaking down poses, I'm like, yeah, that will be fun. It is fun. But yeah, it'll be fun. It won't take as long. It'll be like a good learning experience. And I swear I'm more dead after these things than the flows that I do, because there's so much more detail that comes with these classes and these tutorials. So I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about Warrior 1, Warrior 2, Warrior 3. Of course, these aren't really long because I know we all have things to do, people to see, places to go, but I'm hoping it provides enough detail for a light bulb or two to go off in your head the next time you're practicing, so you just feel more comfortable, more grounded, more secure in the practice that you're developing. So yeah, let me know what you think about these videos. Let me know if you found the tips and tricks I just went over helpful. Let me know if you would rather just flow and you're not too concerned about these things. But either way, it's definitely something I want to continue doing. And then next week, our class will go, our flow class will be our Warrior Flow. So Warrior 1, Warrior 2, Warrior 3. And hopefully we can take what we learned today to integrate into our class, and we'll flow nice and easy. Oh, Sanita biker shorts, I'll link them, and just a fave shirt from a studio I teach at here. So I'll link what I can down below. And yeah, and keep up with me. Keep in touch, find my gram, find my website, find all the things, and let me know how I can help you. And I hope to practice with you again. Peace.